Drive 50 miles east of Silicon Valley, California, and you will see beautiful, multi-million-dollar homes and picturesque vineyards. Then suddenly, almost out of nowhere, you'll encounter a 7,000-acre facility that's protected by a vast array of motion sensors and night vision cameras that will track your every movement. If you were somehow able to scale the 6-foot-tall barbed wire fence and step foot on this property, within seconds, an elite security team would arrive, led by the FBI agent who conducted missions against Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden. Each member of this team will be armed with military-grade assault rifles, and they will not waste a moment to take you into custody for interrogation. But this is not a military base, nor is it an FBI, NSA, or CIA outpost. It is, in fact, the Lawrence Livermore National Lab. For the last 60 years, the world's smartest scientists, engineers, and mathematicians have entered this facility seeking to achieve what many predicted was unachievable. And for 60 years, they left in failure. That was until they cracked the code. The director of this top-secret program allowed a film crew from CBS's 60 Minutes inside to serve as witness. And in this brief clip, you will see the impossible become possible. The birth of a brand new form of energy, AI energy. Thanks to a stunning breakthrough in artificial intelligence, 192 individual laser beams simultaneously concentrated their energy on a single target, striking with 1,000 times the power of the entire U.S. power grid. The temperature reached 270 million degrees Fahrenheit, and the reaction created the first man-made star, a miniaturized twin of the very sun that's at the center of our solar system. A star was born. Now, the world's leading scientists conclude that this reaction is capable of producing 4 million times more energy than oil. AI energy emits zero waste, zero harmful radiation. It's 100% safe, and the source of this AI energy is literally limitless. Which is why tech giant Microsoft rushed to sign a massive agreement to use AI energy to supply electricity to its facilities starting in 2028. And now the world's wealthiest entrepreneurs are vying to get in on the ground floor of what could be worth $40 trillion in the next decade. That is about the size of the US and China's economies combined. This is not just a game changer. It's the game changer. There is currently no precedent for AI energy. It could be even more important than the Industrial Revolution. Now that quote comes directly from Phil LaRochelle. And that name may not ring a bell, but he is the man that Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates hired to direct their investments into AI energy. And according to my guest today, a famed futurist who spent 2 decades on Wall Street, now is the time for Americans to stake their claim to what is shaping up to be a $40 trillion AI energy boom. Because in the coming years, some of America's biggest energy providers, including Chevron and Shell, could unveil miraculous reactors just like this one. And a series of small companies could harness AI energy to deliver unimaginable wealth to investors. As you're about to see, with the right strategy, we don't expect this industry to generate 100% or 1,000% or even 5,000% returns. 100,000% growth is in play here. In other words, generational wealth could be easily found when this industry makes its much anticipated debut. My guest has investigated a firm that has developed an 11,000 strong patent pipeline that places that company at the center of everything that is now unfolding. And he believes that this AI energy breakthrough runs right through this patent pipeline. And AI energy will mint more millionaires than oil, coal, natural gas, wind, solar, and nuclear power combined. He's discovered a way for you to directly buy into this patent pipeline. It's a very simple investment. $5. That's it. And you've got a piece of this patent pipeline. In a few moments, you may decide yourself to invest a good bit more. Ian King, welcome, and hey, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Chris. It's great to be here.
Yeah, this is exciting stuff here.
It is.
Lots to unpack today. AI energy, new form of energy, and it's all thanks to artificial intelligence.
It's really exciting, isn't it? I mean, this is the result of an AI-powered supercomputer forcing two atoms to collide together, fusing into one. Now, it's a chain reaction known as nuclear fusion within scientific circles.
Right, so just to help paint the picture here, I remember when our team was examining your research, you shared a demonstration of how much energy this reaction creates, and it made it so clear to everybody in the room how AI energy is going to change the world. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure, I mean, that's the demonstration with bottle of water.
You
right?
got it.
Okay.
Do you mind, can you go over that again with us?
No problem. Can I grab that bottle, please? Thanks.
This is excellent.
So, Chris, when you fuse two atoms together, it creates a plasma. That's what AI energy is. Now, imagine this 1 liter water bottle could hold that plasma. Just that small amount of AI energy would be able to generate as much power as, I mean, get this, 29,000 barrels of oil.
One water bottle full. That's it. That equals 29,000 barrels of oil.
That'll get somebody's attention, right?
Absolutely. That's amazing.
Right, and what that means is that AI energy is literally 4 million times more powerful than oil.
So we just set the table for everything that's to follow here. This is going to be absolutely great. We've got so many things to discuss here. I want to talk about you now. Most folks have probably seen you on a lot of major media outlets out there. Your claim that AI energy will disrupt $40 trillion of the global economy.
Well, I mean, it's not just me. Bloomberg came to the same conclusion as I did.
Right, good point. And you believe that this is one of those rare situations.
It's a new form of energy, Chris. I mean, we're talking about a once-in-a-lifetime situation.
Right, and we can eventually see an industry grow 100,000% in about 10 years, a decade. You can't help but hear that, and I think that sounds a little extreme.
Chris, it is extreme. This isn't an ordinary development. It's an extraordinary breakthrough. Now, you just mentioned the guy that Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates hired to manage their investments into AI energy, and he says it's going to be more important than the Industrial Revolution. Over at the World Economic Forum, for instance, an energy advisor said it's the most exciting human discovery since fire.
I know, it's an amazing statement, but still, given the gravity of this situation and the historic amount of new wealth that this could create, per your own analysis, I do think it's worth mentioning to everybody watching. Let me take just a moment.
All right.
Ian was on Wall Street for over 2 decades. He became one of Wall Street's most successful hedge fund managers precisely because he was at the forefront of nearly every massive economic shift, disruption, trend, whatever you want to call it. 15 years ago, he was investing in the ground floor of electric vehicle companies like Tesla when it was in its infancy. Cryptocurrencies, when they took hold, he was in early on Bitcoin and Ethereum. He went on to discover 3 largely unknown coins that each soared over 1,000%. One of them spiked 18,000% in about 8 months. So just as an aside, that was enough to turn every $500 into 90,000. $1,000 could have turned into 181,000. $10,000 into 1.8 million. That was on just one coin alone. So moving on from the fracking boom, 5G, battery storage, EVs, the IoT or Internet of Things, blockchain and crypto, he was at the forefront of all of that. And his predictions were so successful, so accurate, that there were leaders at major Wall Street firms like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch. They were paying him for his guidance. But more importantly, you have been on, what's the word? I guess crusade. You've been on a crusade, Ian, to help not just those powerful institutions like the ones I just mentioned. Your research and analysis is actually helping regular people now in over 119 countries. We're talking about a new form of energy made possible by AI, and you were early in on the artificial intelligence trend. You recommended Symbotic, which already hit peak gains of 230% in under a year's time.
Chris,
right?
I mean, we're still in the early innings of the AI story. I mean, the very early innings. Anybody who thinks they've missed anything in AI, that's like saying, you missed the internet revolution in 1995 because you didn't get into AOL.
Right, I see. So we got a long way to go.
Yeah, and the biggest opportunities of the AI wave, the next Amazon, Netflix, Google, these are around the corner. And you want to invest in these when nobody's talking about it yet. I've been on the ground floor of these disruptive technologies, and I can say that this is where all the massive gains are made. And that's why this is so important what we're doing today. AI energy is a new technology that could be 4 million times more powerful than oil. Just think about that for a moment. Now, if I'm hearing that for the first time, I'm asking, what does that mean for me and every other American?
Right. And the answer would be,
well, I mean, we'd all agree that the world needs more energy now, right? I mean, we'd all agree that we're going to need a lot more in the future. The demand curve on this is pretty cut and dry.
absolutely, more people, more houses, more cars. We're going to need more energy.
Right. Where the debate comes into play is how we're going to quench the world's never-ending thirst for more energy. We know that we've done it in the past, and we know how people have made money from it. If you picture the major sources of energy as individual pieces of one big pie chart, you're going to see the smallest slice is nuclear energy. So that's good for about 4% of the world's supply. Companies like Cameco and Uranium Energy Corp lead that sector. And you've got a bigger piece of the pie coming from natural gas. That scoops up over 20% of the total. And here you've got the major players are Cheniere Energy, EQT Corp, and Southwestern Energy.
Right, and you can see how it all breaks down here. Obviously, the biggest piece of the pie is oil. Still.
Right. I mean, the big firms in this sector are all household names. And over time, they've all produced massive windfalls for investors. What I'm willing to say is AI energy could single-handedly replace all of them.
All sources of energy.
I mean, yeah, not today, not tomorrow, but yes, eventually it has the ability to replace all sources of energy because the source of AI energy is individual hydrogen atoms, and it's the most abundant resource on the planet, if not the universe. So I encourage the folks watching to just pause for a second and consider what I'm about to say. I mean, think about your electric and gas bills, what you pay every month. AI energy could slash the average American's electricity bill to just pennies a month.
Right. And it's not dependent on unreliable sources like wind or solar.
No, it isn't. I mean, it can be generated on demand. So it doesn't matter if the wind isn't blowing or the sun isn't shining. It doesn't matter at all. It's on demand, limitless energy. But let's keep walking this out a little bit.
Sure.
The U.S. exports more oil than we consume. And that should mean we're energy independent, right?
Yeah, but we're really not.
No, not by a long shot, Chris. I mean, folks know what they pay at the pump every time they fill up their tank. And they know we can still be held hostage the next time Saudi Arabia or another country tries to cut their supply of oil. So on a whim, OPEC can force Americans to pay twice as much as they should at the pump.
Right, but not for much longer, right?
I mean, scientists have already begun testing ways to harness AI energy for cars, and they're making rapid progress. And this American-made AI energy could make our dreams of 100% American energy independence a reality. And what's more important than that, Chris?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the fifth epoch of energy. And each prior four changed the world, and I can't stress this enough.
Right.
The first, I mean, this is when man discovered fire, right? And then you've got the second is when coal power came along. So that's your steam engine for boats and trains. Now, the third was oil, right? So cars, trucks, airplanes, jets, oil made all this possible. The fourth was atomic energy. Of course, we know about nuclear power. That's why I say AI energy is the fifth epoch. And no matter how big AI energy gets, this is going to be more impactful than when we pulled the first barrel of oil out of the ground, some 100 years ago.
Right, yeah. And back then, not everything needed power. I mean, nowadays, everything, we rely on fuel and electricity, batteries.
That's right. And I'll go a step further. I think AI energy, specifically, will be the greatest wealth generator in the history of mankind. I mean, that's how impactful it is. And now is the time to get in on the ground floor of this.
So this is good news on top of good news. So I have to ask you this AI energy breakthrough, it really seemed to have happened, it came out of nowhere. It really happened all of a sudden. Why now?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is technology is moving much faster than ever before. I mean, look how fast, you're familiar with ChatGPT?
Sure.
So within 2 months, it had 100 million users. That's faster adoption than any technology in history.
Yeah, because of AI, we're on a much faster timeline, right?
Exactly, Chris. And there's a reason the world's wealthiest are rushing in to invest billions into AI energy. I mean, 50 countries and the big corporations like Google and Microsoft, Chevron, I think BP, ConocoPhillips. You've got the major scientific institutes like MIT, UC Berkeley, Princeton. They're all following suit. And there's a reason guys like Mark Benioff, he's the billionaire founder of Salesforce. He calls this energy the Holy Grail, also said it was the mythical unicorn. And it's the same reason why Congress, right, with overwhelming bipartisan support, which we don't get much of that nowadays.
Unusual.
Right, and they're investing hundreds and hundreds of millions into these AI energy projects. So remember that water bottle we discussed before, that little demonstration I gave? So that amount of plasma from AI energy equals 29,000 barrels of oil, right? We're talking about 100% clean energy source whose supply is pretty much limitless.
Yeah, this is mind-blowing, because what we're saying here is this is the answer to America's energy prayers.
I mean, I think we've been praying hard enough, but it's not just an answer to America's prayers. It's the answer to mankind's energy prayers.
Which is why, just to connect the dots here, this is why investors should be leaning in and paying very close attention to everything that you're trying to tell us here today. So after they had this AI energy breakthrough at Lawrence Livermore Lab, they put this large sign up. I think we may have seen it in the video clip, I'm not sure. It says, "Bringing star power to Earth." That's their words. How did that happen? How did scientists actually bring the power of the stars to us here on Earth?
That's a great question, Chris. And let me just give a little background on this. Now, in 1951, scientists at the Argonne National Laboratory in Idaho brought the first nuclear power reactor online. That was atomic power. That's the splitting of one atom into two. It's a reaction we also call fission.
Fission.
Right. Now, AI energy is the exact opposite reaction. What AI energy does, it fuses two atoms into one. So that's how our sun and every star in the universe creates energy. It's much, much harder to create. Now, to make AI energy, you need hydrogen. It's the most abundant element in the universe. Now, imagine a single drop of water. Okay, so you take two individual hydrogen atoms from that drop of water. Are you following me?
Yeah, I'm keeping up.
Okay. So you know
So
what, Chris?
far.
Let's roll that clip from 60 Minutes again, and I'll walk you through it. Can we roll that clip?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So you're watching 192 individual laser beams, all simultaneously concentrating their energy on a single target. And the target is so small, it's only the size of a pencil eraser. That's it. When fusing two atoms together to create a heavier one, a massive amount of energy is released. Now, in fact, research reveals that just a few grams fused together could create as much as a terajoule of energy.
A terajoule.
Yeah, I mean, my high school physics teacher would be proud of that word. But
you know what it is.
Yeah, it's the amount of energy the average person uses in about 60 years.
One person in 60.
Yeah.
So I've got an 18-year-old son. So that small amount of matter generated enough power to keep his energy or meet his needs until he turns like 80 years old.
That's correct. I mean, it's crazy to think about, isn't it?
It is. When you think it's just two microscopic atoms fused into one, and one person's energy needs are met for most of their life, 6 decades. That's incredible.
Chris, I mean, a sun was created inside that facility. So incredible, or more than incredible, definitely fits that billing. But what's crazy is that artificial sun was hotter than the core of the actual sun. Now, hotter than anything in the entire solar system. But, you know, really, that only matters if there's a realistic use for it, which clearly, you know, we're seeing there is.
Yeah, and with a practically limitless amount of hydrogen.
I mean, there'll be enough AI energy to meet everybody's needs for millions of years.
Amazing.
Really forever. That's why I'm calling this a new epoch of energy.
So, all right, so now that we're able to, actually, can we put that shot of the Lawrence Livermore National Lab back on? Take a look at this. Now that we're bringing that star power to Earth through AI energy, and we have an abundance of materials needed to do it basically round the clock, what exactly is holding us back? I mean, can't we just flip a switch and bring this online, put it on the grid immediately?
You mean what held us back, right? That's past tense. We've solved what held us back initially. Creating a fusion reaction was like the Kitty Hawk moment for flight. But it's a good question, Chris. I mean, I'll answer it in two ways. Because until folks see an electric bill for 25 cents or whatever, they'll rightfully be skeptical. But moving forward, the major roadblock will be time. The AI energy technology for sustaining a fusion reaction is still in its infancy. But we're already building reactors, and you know, a lot of smart money is saying we're close to getting them online. For instance, that Microsoft deal that you spoke about to power its facilities kicks in 2028. Now, Microsoft is a $2.5 trillion company. It's run by incredibly smart people. They wouldn't be investing billions on AI energy if they weren't confident it could really revolutionize their business. But you know, to answer your question another way, what held us back before, until very recently, were two different roadblocks. Now, follow me here. The first roadblock was, well, I think we now know this. We simply didn't have the technology to create an artificial sun, right? So we needed artificial intelligence to handle the mathematical computations that are necessary to create something similar on Earth. We now have these supercomputers that are run by AI. So, that roadblock was cleared. That fusion reactor is controlled by a supercomputer, by the way, and that's powered by AI. So the first roadblock cleared, right?
And the second roadblock was what?
The second roadblock was solving the same puzzle that needed to be solved when man discovered fire. And of course, that was containment, right?
Oh, as in, how do you contain a sun, a miniature sun?
Yeah, and our ancestors were worried about how they're containing this fire they're lighting in the woods, right? So 270 million degrees Fahrenheit, okay? So that's hotter than the real sun. It's hotter than the melting point of any material known to man.
So, all right, so there's no material on Earth that can withstand the sun's heat, right? So how is it possible to contain all that heat, all that power?
Yeah, alien technology, right, Chris? I'm kidding. I mean, the solution is something that surrounds all of us, gravity. Chris, our north and south poles are magnetic, okay? So they're competing magnetic forces that push against each other. So that creates an immense gravitational force between them, the gravitational force that surrounds us. And the sun has magnetic poles too. It's what keeps the sun from breaking apart. It's why we don't have to worry about it ever breaking apart. Remember, AI energy is the process of fusing two atoms together that don't want to be together. So the sun is one big nuclear fusion reaction that runs 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
All right, so how do you go about creating this man-made gravitational containment system, force, powerful enough to keep a mini sun together? I mean, this has never been done before.
Magnets, like these ridiculously powerful magnets. So that same AI-powered computer that controls those 192 lasers is also controlling a series of incredibly strong, perfectly calibrated magnets.
Okay, so the magnets act like a bunch of poles, like north and south.
Yeah, they do. It's called magnetic confinement. Okay, so you're using magnetic fields to trap and control the fusion fuel in the form of plasma. The computing power required to run this complex web of magnets to precisely contain all that heat and all that energy, it's nearly incomprehensible. It's why it took 60 years to figure out, and it's why they couldn't do it without AI. It's also how the dream of nuclear fusion became the reality of AI energy.
Okay, I think I'm understanding you, but I have to say it sounds dangerous.
It does,
like
right?
extremely dangerous, is it?
No, it's the opposite of dangerous. So splitting an atom for nuclear fission literally is the destruction of something.
Right.
Okay? The single atom, that's dangerous, and that's why we have the atomic bomb. Fusion is not dangerous because it doesn't destroy either atom that's being fused together. I mean, I get it if folks think it's dangerous, right? Controlling a man-made sun sounds pretty dangerous.
It does.
But, I mean, those scientists are some of the best and brightest around. They wouldn't have set up their mission control center in the room that was directly next to the fusion reactor if they thought it was dangerous. It's just not.
All right, good point. I hear you. So just so we're clear, if something in fact went wrong,
the fusion reactor automatically shuts down. Okay, so its power source has been taken from it. So there's zero risk of any kind of meltdown or reaction, none. The two atoms just separate and go on their separate ways. That's why AI energy is 100% safe.
that's amazing. And, of course, there's that big fact out there, 4 million times more powerful than oil.
That's right. So, Chris, when they first created AI energy, what they played on 60 Minutes that lasted less than the blink of an eye, you may remember seeing the headlines when this happened. The media described the event as a huge breakthrough, a path to a new form of limitless energy, unlimited, clean, and cheap energy, happens in the blink of an eye. They succeeded. Now, try to imagine powering the entire U.S. power grid with this. All 50 states combined 24 hours a day.
What you're saying is we needed a way to maintain, continue that reaction, I guess, at scale so that we could run our entire electric grid.
Right. So in the background of these fusion and AI breakthroughs, there was an innovative company that was working on a technology that takes the computational power of AI to just exponentially greater levels.
Right. Now that's where the firm with 11,000 patents comes in too, right?
Right. So AI energy is going to change the energy markets forever. But there's also a huge investment angle to this.
Exactly.
Right? And it's like that with any new technology breakthrough, okay? So this company is headquartered just down the road from that facility where AI energy was born. And this company has invented a device that ensures that supercomputers are truly super. They call it extreme performance yield computing. Now, it's a mouthful.
It is.
But I simply call them AI boosters. Okay, so we understand how rocket boosters work. Okay, they create enough thrust to send a space shuttle through our atmosphere and into space.
Right.
But this AI booster microtechnology takes the immense computing power of existing supercomputers and it augments their AI capabilities. So, I mean, it boosts their performance exponentially.
Okay, so when you say exponentially, what do you mean by that? Give us a sense of that.
So imagine if you could insert a device into your car and make it 2 million times more powerful. Right? I mean, we'd all be driving rocket ships around. So, imagine boosting the incomprehensible performance of a supercomputer by 2 million times.
Whoa.
So, earlier you mentioned the facility 50 miles away from Silicon Valley. It's the Lawrence Livermore National Lab.
Right.
That's the fusion reactor that was shown on CBS's 60 Minutes. So they're installing AI boosters right now into the El Capitan supercomputer at that facility. I mean, this will allow that supercomputer to reach a number that's pretty unfathomable, 2 quintillion calculations per second. Now, it's a crazy number. It's a 2 with 18 zeros behind it. I don't expect everyone to remember this. But what it means is that this supercomputer will become by far the fastest supercomputer in the world. And it's really thanks to these AI boosters.
Right, so you install them into a supercomputer and it becomes, what'd you say, 2 million times more powerful than it was before.
Right, I mean, they could help us create and literally control a nationwide network of miniature suns, each contained inside these reactors. And they'll be able to run around the clock. It's an absolutely historic feat that will change mankind. And Chris, what I've learned is that with these big breakthroughs, you want to get in on this disruptive tech in the early innings. So I've seen this happen again and again. We saw it with .com, with electric vehicles, with cryptocurrencies. Mm-hmm. When a new technology emerges, you want to be an early investor and get in on it on the ground floor.
Right, and I know what you mean. You've got a history of this. You've been an early investor in all of those industries you mentioned. Those AI boosters you just talked about are going to help bring AI energy, limitless, clean, cheap, safe energy that's going to disrupt $40 trillion in global industry to the world. Mm-hmm. And can you explain to us, though, why are those patents so valuable to AI energy?
Sure. I mean, it's not just a few patents. We're talking 11,000 plus patents.
Right.
That's a big number. That's more than 3 times the number of patents that have been awarded to Tesla, for instance.
Wow.
They have a really innovative team of engineers that have worked at firms like Hewlett-Packard, IBM, Micron, and they attained 11,000 patents for this AI booster microtechnology. But if you broke one of these boosters open, you'd find 4 key components that really do the heavy lifting to make a supercomputer much faster. First is what they call infinity fabric, right? So its role in boosting AI is to keep all the data moving quickly so it doesn't bottleneck and it keeps the system running smoothly.
Okay, infinity fabric. So it's be like the blood running through veins or something. The minute there's a clot, you got a serious problem.
That's a good way to think about it. Infinity fabric is critical for AI to operate faster and faster without clotting. Now, there's also the processing node. As its name implies, it's what gives AI the speed it needs to process all those calculations so quickly. There are over 39 billion of these nodes in just one of these AI boosters.
All right, so to keep the anatomy analogy going, that would be the brain that makes sense of all the data?
You're doing a pretty good job explaining this yourself, Chris.
It's fascinating. I'm doing my best to keep up with you, but you're the expert.
Okay, so next we can take a look at the thread relay. So this is what makes AI so dynamic. It's what really amps up the speed of AI applications, and it also boosts the speed of these supercomputers running those applications. So there are 128 threads in one of these AI boosters, and it's how it can perform work and then more work, performing task after task after task. And lastly, we have what's called PCIs. So that's short for peripheral component interconnect. There's not going to be a pop quiz later, so don't worry about that.
Thank you.
But this is much like the human brain, has receptors that quickly transmit signals throughout our bodies. PCIs do the same with supercomputers. So rather than sending data down a 2-lane road, PCIs open the doors to this superhighway that ensures all the data coming from all the different systems within a supercomputer never gets stuck in traffic. They're are a lot of other components, and they're all very complex, but those are the big four.
Right. Thanks for taking the time to explain that. So you expect these AI boosters to lead to more and more facilities out there creating AI energy.
That's right, and we're already seeing what's coming. Now, for example, they're building a massive fusion reactor in southern France. From a helicopter, you can see how big it is. This facility spans 440 acres. It's called the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. So you've got 35 countries, they're working together on the project. You've got the entire European Union, South Korea, and the United States as well. The price tag on this one, $22 billion. Japan, they're building another one, also in Germany too. But I'm confident that America will win this race to control AI energy, and I don't think it's going to be even close.
Really? Why?
Well, if you look at a map of all the universities and research centers who are actively working on these AI energy projects, it's really mind-blowing. So imagine when we start producing AI energy at scale. Just look what's happening up in Boston. You've got MIT developing compact fusion reactors. Okay, so that would be able to supply the local electric grids in small towns. Then AI energy could be able to power every main street in every small town in America, maybe as soon as this decade. But I need to be clear here, Chris. This isn't just the birth of a star created by lasers. This could be the birth of a new industry. So let me just give you some perspective. Right? Landing Neil Armstrong on the moon, that took us about 8 years, I think, and 10 trial missions to figure out.
Right. And AI energy took, 60 years? Is that what you said earlier?
60 years. But history was finally made. Okay? And we'll look back on this achievement as being as important, even more important than the moon landing. Right? Just like the sun is the star at the center of our solar system, this breakthrough could be like a supernova at the center of every major industry. So this would ignite revolutions in manufacturing, computing, transportation, really just so much more.
Yeah, and it just dawned on me. I think Jules Verne was dreaming about this very same phenomenon, 150 years ago or something. Ian, I have to say, I feel like I'm like most people out there, right? I see all the headlines on AI. There are scary ones. There's some that aren't so scary. Some that are actually very exciting. And I want to believe that this is going to be the engine for amazing things in the future. But, I've been waiting for AI to deliver on that promise at the same time, to be this miraculous thing that transforms all of our lives for the better. That's the point of it, right? Now, speaking for myself, this seems to be that miracle that I've been waiting for, that I've been hoping for. AI energy, artificial intelligence, helping us solve the world's problems, our need for more power. And it's exciting that it's quite literally happening as we speak right now.
This is that spark at the very beginning of something that's going to transform the world as we know it. Chris, the future is here, right? We should all be really excited about this. So right now you've got billionaire investors like Jeff Bezos, Peter Thiel, even George Soros are piling money into individual AI energy projects like some of those you just mentioned a little bit earlier.
Right, and they're getting a lot of press for it too. And you have pinpointed a very unique way, we're getting down to it here, a unique way for everyday investors like us to get in on the ground floor and potentially experience a very life-changing windfall from every phase of this AI energy boom, right?
Right. The way I see it, Chris, in order for these fusion projects to work, these boosters are needed. So without them, nobody will be able to sustain an AI energy reaction long enough for commercial use and mass adoption.
Right, I get it. And the good news for everybody watching right now is that they can, right now, invest in and secure a direct stake in that 11,000 strong patent pipeline for the booster technology that you do expect will allow the dream of AI energy to become a reality.
That's right. And you can buy into the company that owns the patent pipeline. And their tech has become mission critical. They're virtually irreplaceable for the biggest AI energy project.
Right, and we can get started for as little as $5. That's all it takes really to grab the stake. If you've got $1,000 or more, you can go in for an even bigger stake. That's all the better. Now, Ian, when these AI energy reactors do come online, those firms, they're probably going to have to kick a big chunk of that money back into the firm with the patent pipeline for this booster technology. Am I right about that?
That's right. And I expect that by 2028, the value of those booster patents will have already surged 10x or more.
Right, and when Microsoft begins receiving AI energy to power their data centers and their operations.
I mean, that just shows commercial viability.
Okay.
So that's planting a huge flag in the ground where AI energy could begin to scale on an exponential level into what I think is a $40 trillion opportunity. So, Chris, there's no historical comparison that would match the size of this revolution or, how fast it will take hold.
Right, so being an early investor in something of that magnitude could be like getting in on other world-changing technology companies like Microsoft when it IPO'd, or, I don't know, being an angel investor in Uber or Facebook, where 100,000% type gains came in mere years.
That's right, and I'll say it again, there's no true historical comparison here, okay? So AI energy is going to be more transformative than all those companies combined.
Yeah, and what I find just as exciting about your research is the fact that these AI boosters, they're being tested in technologies that control some of the world's biggest industries out there. It's not just with these fusion reactors, right?
Right. Really, any industry that's currently using AI or plans to will eventually rely on AI boosters like this.
Can you give us a little background? I mean, what can we expect to see coming just over the horizon?
Sure. I'll give you a quick highlight reel. So we're starting to get a small glimpse of how AI boosters will revolutionize the $3 trillion automotive industry. Okay, so Mercedes Formula One team, they put these boosters to work designing their $15 million race car. So they allowed their supercomputers to double their workflow speed. The result, they won the first championship powered by these devices. So my question is, what happens when every automotive manufacturer realize they have to rely on this technology, or they risk being left in the dust by the competition? There's over 290 million cars on the road in the US, so think about the entire world. What happens when all those cars become smart cars and every car needs one of them?
I see your point. Wow, there's going to be a lot of that happening.
Yeah, so another example, we can look at the $3.5 trillion financial services industry. These companies spend boatloads to get data even a nanosecond faster than their competition. Yep. So one global bank, Emirates, it's not exactly a household name, but they do have over 200 billion in assets. This company installed AI boosters, and suddenly their processing time went from nearly a minute down to instantaneous. I mean, how valuable do you think that kind of boost could be to like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, Citigroup? Every investment bank and fund on Wall Street will need this. Then there's the $1.8 trillion U.S. education system. So you've got the University of Florida, Oregon State, and Notre Dame, to name a few of these. They're using AI boosters for science, research, across all areas like cancer, environmental change, global health. Microsoft already inked their deal for one application of AI boosters. But how long before they start using them for things like ChatGPT? I mean, how long before Amazon, Oracle, and Apple follow suit?
Yeah, I see your point. So I know we understand what held back the development of fusion reactors. You explained that. We now understand how these AI boosters are helping to solve that particular problem. I am curious, what roadblocks stand in the way of speeding up the implementation of this technology? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the current roadblocks are basically cost and time. But as investors, we don't want to get into a new technology when it's no longer new, right? When it's already inside hundreds of millions of different devices, you miss the boat.
It's too late.
Yeah. So like most new technologies, these AI boosters are expensive. It's going to set you back about $12,500 for one of them.
Wow.
But the price is not going to stop a multi-billion-dollar fusion reactor project. But if you want to add this technology into every cell phone, car, laptop.
Oh yeah, no way could people afford 13 grand for a cell phone.
Yeah, but we've seen this before. The original version of Microsoft Word would have run you $1,100 adjusted for inflation. The price has since come down 93%. A computer hard drive with 10 megabytes of storage used to run $7,000 adjusted for inflation. You can now get 4 terabytes of storage on Amazon for like $50. Now, that's 4 million times more storage for 99% less. That's where I'm going. Yeah.
Right. Another example I can think of is flat screen TVs, right? You remember how expensive those were 20 years ago.
I mean, so expensive. But you can get like a 50-inch TV for $250.
Exactly. It's unbelievable.
I mean, it's a universal rule of technology, though, Chris. As time goes on, the tech gets smaller and cheaper. So the more it can be used and the more money it delivers to early investors.
Right. And with that, we will see this world-changing technology integrated into everything around us. too.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, cell phones, cars, laptops, hospitals, manufacturing plants, you name it, the possibilities for this are limitless. But we only touched on AI energy and a few of the many wondrous applications for this world-changing technology. But you don't want to wait around to secure your piece of the patents for the AI booster tech when it's already being put into tens of millions of devices. So you'll just be late to the party. You want to get in before that happens.
Right. You don't want to follow the herd here.
No. I mean, you want to blaze your own path. Not many people know about this breakthrough yet, and people really aren't talking about it. And Chris, in my experience, that's where the biggest gains are made.
And I love the sound of that. I'd also love to have my own supercomputer too.
Yeah, it's going to be here before you know it. So as AI boosters become integrated into the world's most powerful supercomputers, right? AI will make a radical shift from a useful application to life-changing innovation. That's AI energy. I mean, that's what we've been talking about today. You're going to see those AI boosters going into tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of devices.
Right, and you're saying that the company with that 11,000 strong patent pipeline that developed this breakthrough technology is going to be at the center of it all.
That's right. I mean, the bottom line, Chris, is that AI boosters will be the key component that could ignite the $40 trillion AI energy revolution. And these AI boosters will be the key to transforming nearly every industry. And, they'll be in hundreds of millions of devices.
All right. You were early into cryptocurrencies. We talked about this earlier, into electric vehicles, early revolutions in shale energy. Now you're saying our viewers have a once-in-a-lifetime chance, really, to get in on the ground floor of something that could be bigger than all of those investments put together.
We've had a lot of once-in-a-lifetime chances in the last 20 years, right? So I'm saying this is an industry that could surge 100,000%. Okay, so we're talking about, unimaginable wealth creation. Nothing's going to be more important and more valuable than the patents behind those AI boosters. So this firm's patent pipeline is just an absolutely formidable moat.
So all it takes to tap into that patent pipeline is one investment. And we're talking about a very small stake here, and you're set.
Sure. I mean, you can start with as little as $5. If you're comfortable allocating $1,000, go for it. The dawn of AI energy is here, right? I can't stress that enough. The time to invest in this is today. You don't want to wait for tomorrow. You want to get in now. But, of course, Chris, investing always carries risk. So, please do not risk more than you can afford to lose.
You don't have to tell me anymore. I'm sold, actually. So what I'm wondering, what everybody is wondering, how?
Yeah.
How can we invest in this?
Glad you asked. So I've compiled my findings in my newest report. It's called AI Energy, the $40 trillion disruptor bringing star power to Earth. Now, inside, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about these AI boosters, how they exponentially boost supercomputer speeds, how they're going to revolutionize every major industry in our country and the world. But, Chris, most importantly, how folks can own a piece of these patents.
Right. So just to confirm, when I get that report, I can invest in the patent pipeline today.
That's right. Everything you need to know is in there, which is why I want to get this into the hands of everyone watching right away. Yeah. But, look, Chris, AI is the biggest trend I've ever seen. I know some people are confused or even scared about it, and many simply just don't know what it really is. So I've also recorded a special interactive video presentation with everything you need to know about AI, including how it will benefit you, me, and everyone. Now, you'll see for yourself how AI will transform so many different industries.
Right, and I just want everybody to know, I've actually watched this interactive presentation. It's something you have got to see. It's called AI 360?
That's right. It's a complete 360-degree analysis of the industry and the opportunities inside it.
AI 360. Let me tell you, any and all questions about artificial intelligence will be answered in that presentation. So Ian, the AI Energy Report, the AI 360 presentation, those are two critical components of a very powerful initiative that you've created. You want to tell us about that?
It's called Strategic Fortunes.
Exactly, Strategic Fortunes. Very innovative. Let me know if I get any of this wrong, all right? So what you're doing there is you're investigating and analyzing all of these major tech trends and disruptions that we've been talking about. You're tracing them actually back to the source. So to the very core investments that can grow steadily and help usher in the next stage of innovation.
So far, so good.
I got it right.
Yeah.
So part of that venture involves real-time Wall Street institutional level research, but you're delivering it to Main Street investors in a very simple, easy to understand way.
That's right. I host weekly live streams. I publish investment briefings so that people can capitalize on these big tech trends.
Right. Now, another part of Strategic Fortunes is that Ian is leading a team of world-class investors. These are economists, analysts, brilliant business minds, and you've recruited them to the cause, essentially, right?
Right. It's not a one-man venture here. So, Chris, we've reached a really unique moment in history. Look at what we talked about today. Literally, AI created a new form of energy, and I think we're on the verge of an unprecedented era of wealth generation. So what I want to do is leverage my industry contacts from Wall Street, technology startups, VC firms, researchers, and we're talking about leading minds from their respective fields. And I wanted to bring this insight to everyday Americans who want to follow us into these incredible investments.
Right, and you just touched on the final major component of your Strategic Fortunes venture that I wanted to mention. You have built this very large and growing community, and it's growing very, very quickly. We got people writing in about six-figure windfalls that they've made, or how they made 850% in a little over a year, 1,200% gains in 15 months. We've got one gentleman, take a look at this, one gentleman who wrote in and said he turned $51,000 into over $450,000 in 13 months, just over a year.
I'm glad you called it a community because that's exactly what it is. And look, these are some of our best stories. Everybody is starting from a different place, but the big picture here is my goal for Strategic Fortunes is for everybody to work together, to win together, and for every member of our community to become wealthy in the years ahead.
Right, and that makes perfect sense considering we've been discussing 100,000% industry growth from these developments in artificial intelligence, potentially starting with those AI booster patents.
Yeah, I mean, that is a once-in-a-lifetime situation. It just is. But we're not stopping there because I see enormous opportunities in so many different industries.
Mm-hmm. So having said that, you and your team have just finished your analysis, I understand, of 2 additional AI investments, right?
And we prepared special reports for both of them.
Right. So let's hear about your next target then.
Sure. AI is data intensive. It's why big data has been called the most valuable resource on the planet. But investors have largely overlooked data centers, especially when it comes to AI. But AI is going to make some data centers insanely profitable in the coming years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking about Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and nearly every other major company rely on these data centers. And they're massive buildings. They've got an average of 100,000 servers stacked on top of each other to the ceiling, all running 24/7. But there's a problem with all of these servers running nonstop because they generate a massive amount of heat, in so much heat that these older air cooling systems can't keep up with this new high-powered equipment.
Really?
So that's where this innovative firm comes into play. They invented a liquid cooling system that uses water, not air. And I'm so excited about this investment. I've called the report the big data profit play of a lifetime.
All right, so that's interesting. Can you talk about why you think this is such a massive opportunity then?
Sure. My research points to this having the potential to double by the end of next year. So this company's invention provides a cooling force that's 3,500 times more powerful than any fan on the planet. And the problem here is that if a data center overheats, the servers may melt, and that can bring down large portions of the cloud. And Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and all the other big tech companies can't afford to have their clouds go down. So when data centers overheat, data can be lost. And that could mean a personal financial information, a company's most sensitive information, and basically the most valuable data.
Yeah, it'd be a disaster.
Yeah, so this next generation of AI applications is more powerful than the prior generation, and all that power creates a lot more heat, okay? So I think companies are going to learn soon, hopefully it won't be the hard way, that their servers and every one of their data centers that run any AI applications must be liquid cooled or they'll simply melt. So here's the thing, only about 5% of data centers have transitioned to using liquid cooling systems. But in the coming years, every one of them will need to convert to systems like these.
Right, they'll need 100% adoption of that. So demand for liquid cooling systems obviously is already guaranteed. It's in place, it's going to be there.
I think so, and it's a hard fact that servers are getting too hot, and something has to cool them. AC systems aren't cutting it, so this stock has the potential to double in the next year.
So we have your next report on the screen now, and this one is called AI Hardware and Software Riches. Tell us about that one.
Sure, I've profiled an innovative firm that's developed AI-powered robotics hardware and software that automates warehouses. So its clients are companies you've heard of like Target, Albertsons, and even Walmart.
Yeah.
And get this, over the next few years, Walmart, which already has its systems in 25 of its distribution centers, is going to be rolling it out to every one of its distribution centers across the United States.
So I'll just point out, you don't get any bigger than Target, would you say Albertsons, Walmart? Those are huge clients.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, its robotic systems are currently used in over 1,400 facilities. And its solutions can help companies save up to $250 million over the life of the system. So it's not surprising that it has an $11 billion backlog. So as competition among retailers continues to be fierce and businesses continue to try and cut costs, I believe that demand will only continue to surge. Mm-hmm. This stock could easily rise 300% in the next 2 years.
Wow, 300%. That's amazing. Okay, so the first report, AI Energy, which is the $40 trillion disruptor bringing star power to Earth. Did I get that title right?
You got that.
So that reveals the company with the AI boosters, the technology that's critical to unlocking what we're calling the holy grail of energy. Mm-hmm. Chance for investors out there to literally get in on the ground floor of a brand new form of energy. It's amazing. Second report, the big data profit play of a lifetime. That reveals a company that's at the physical epicenter, I guess, ground zero of the AI revolution, data centers, mm-hmm. right? Advanced cooling systems are still needed in, what'd you say, 95% of all data centers. As the exponential surge in data shows, there's no signs of slowing down. So that's going to be needed. Then we got the third report, AI hardware and software riches, right? And that reveals the company with robotic systems that are going to be in every Walmart distribution center and nearly every other major retailer over the next few years. And this stock has the potential to soar 300% in the next 2 years.
Yeah, that's right.
This is incredible. I mean, it's so exciting. All right, so these three reports now, you're giving them away for free.
Well, I'm releasing them to members of my Strategic Fortunes initiative, and I want as many people to profit from the AI revolution as possible.
Right, I get it, I understand that. But I have to say, if you were providing this work to some of your clients, at major investment firms and banks and Wall Street firms, that's not free. We're talking tens of thousands of bucks there.
Sure, but this is for Main Street. Okay, the richest, smartest investors in America are getting in now on AI, and I encourage our viewers to do the same immediately.
All right, so let's talk for a minute about what it's like to be a member of your Strategic Fortunes venture.
Okay, I'm looking for people who want to see how to invest right alongside me in these types of opportunities.
Meaning you're putting your own money on the table.
That's right. I want to have skin in the game, okay? But let's talk about Strategic Fortunes. Every Monday afternoon, I'm hosting a live stream event. Each session usually lasts around 30 minutes where I profile my latest investment target. I let folks look over my shoulder as I share my research, projections, the risk to reward profile of every opportunity.
Yeah, and you really give members a chance to have their voices heard. That's one thing I like.
Chris, I want this to be extremely interactive. There's a lot of back and forth with my team, and I can answer frequently asked questions. I want to get to know members. I want them to get to know me as well.
Right. I really like your Wall Street Unfiltered segment where you explain what's really causing Wall Street to move in one direction or the other, and especially when the market gets volatile, because you come on and you really explain the backstory of what really is going on. Having an insider like that translate all of the noise and chaos coming from the Fed or, Capitol Hill, the news outlets, major economic events, to get to what's important, you keep me level-headed. I appreciate that.
Well, Strategic Fortunes was built for our community. And, if I'm leading the community, which I am, I need to focus on what's important to them.
Right. And it's a great opportunity to see how you think, your mental process. During the live streams, you just brought this up, I think. You're revealing your latest investment targets. What I love is how I get a text every time a new trade alert comes out. I never miss anything. Even if I do miss the Monday live stream, I know it's covered.
Yeah, each session is archived, so you or anyone else can review and rewatch however many times you need. But I want folks to get my investment recommendations in real time. So the alerts and the research are all emailed out instantly. And we're following that up with text message alerts as well.
And I have to say, I also use the app.
Oh, even better. The
Yes.
smartphone app is a big part of this.
Exactly. Every trade alert pops up on my phone, right? And with just a few clicks, I can make the trade if I want to, or I can attend the live streams through the app too. I can basically do everything I want right through that. It's very easy. You only make about, 1 or 2 trades a month. So strategic fortunes is becoming a movement fast. I mentioned that earlier. And I'm far from the only one who feels that way, right? You've got people from UBS and Merrill Lynch, Credit Suisse, Morgan Stanley. They are among Ian's 70,000 members out there who span over 100 countries, Ian.
Yeah.
I mean, the results here are impossible to ignore. I mentioned some of your biggest winning trades earlier. Let's take a closer look at some more here. Ian closed out a 146% profit on Qualcomm, 301% gain on Generac, both in about 2 years. He even made a 137% profit on Inspire Medical Systems and a 735% gain on Tesla. And it just keeps getting better. He recommended SunPower, and there he made gains as much as 780% in just 7 months. 780%. Ian, you have a phenomenal track record. That's exciting.
Thanks, Chris. Well, I've been doing this a long time, for over 2 decades, both on and off Wall Street.
Yeah.
With Strategic Fortunes, I wanted to bring my Wall Street expertise to Main Street investors.
We haven't spoken much about your Wall Street experience today. Let me touch on that again, because as a former hedge fund manager, you actually crushed the market during the crisis in 08. You made, a 250% gain in less than 2 years' time. And I know your expertise is just part of the reason that you speak around the world. You've been invited on national TV. You've been quoted in places like Forbes. At this point, you've made your fortune.
Well, I've done very well for myself, Chris,
Right.
which is the main reason I started Strategic Fortunes, because I could see that so many people were investing the wrong way. So I developed a new way to help them invest in the market.
Exactly, and you've used it. You've shown them how to invest in cryptos, 5G, EV, of course, AI. We've been talking about that. You're actually up 115% in Symbiotic in less than 4 months, right? So whether it's energy, technology, you give people the chance to invest early and right alongside smart investors, and definitely before the big institutional investors pile in.
Yeah, I hold nothing back with this service. So Strategic Fortunes puts all my best research and recommendations right at your fingertips.
Right. Let me take a minute and break down everything that our viewers are going to be getting here. So bear with me for just a moment. This is important. First of all, I want you to know you get the monthly Strategic Fortunes newsletter, right? Each month, Ian is going to send out a very detailed briefing with complete research and analysis of his top investment recommendations for that month. You're getting the Strategic Fortunes model portfolio. So that's where you can see every stock and crypto that's on Ian's buy now list, including the 3 investments that he's sharing with you today. And as of today, the open recommendations in this portfolio have a 78% win rate. Very impressive. You're getting trade alerts. We spoke about that already, the trade alerts. They come via email, text, push notifications through the app so that you're never going to miss out on any big opportunity. You get weekly Wall Street unfiltered live streams. Really love those. And as mentioned, every week, Ian will send out a live stream video on very important developments in AI, in investments that he's tracking, events that are happening in the markets overall. You're also going to get weekly member updates. Every Tuesday, in fact, Ian and his team will update you on current positions in the model portfolio. And you're going to have access to a private members-only website. That's where all of the content is located. Trade alerts, model portfolio, the special reports, and a whole lot more. And of course, we have to mention his dedicated customer care team as well. If you ever have a question about your membership, Strategic Fortunes website, the model portfolio, you can reach out to that team for help. Ian, I know you put a lot of time and energy and effort and money into creating Strategic Fortunes, right?
That's right. My firm spends over $1 million a year on analysts, Bloomberg terminals, proprietary data sets, and much more, so we can track what the smart money is doing here.
And basically, it kind of gives you an unfair advantage, right? Allowing you to see what the smart money is doing and potentially get in big before those large institutional investors do.
Right. And when you can do that month in and month out, you can stay ahead of the curve, which is why I send out new investments every month. Today, the top investments are in technology, more specifically AI. And it starts with this one company with its powerful AI boosters. I believe they'll be the leaders in this industry. I don't think I'm going too far on a limb when I say in 5 years, you'll look back on this day and be very happy you bought the stock.
Yeah. You know, I'll say it one more time. The current market for nuclear fusion does not exist, right? This is the literal ground floor, but experts expect it to go vertical. I mean, it's going to become a $40 trillion powerhouse in the coming years, and they're going to need these boosters to make it happen.
That's right. And Chris, I want you and everyone watching to get in now. So in my opinion, this is an incredible investment opportunity.
Right. Well, as you said, this company is at the epicenter of what could be this $40 trillion growth surge. Your research is pretty clear. This firm with the 11,000 strong patent pipeline, it is at the center of it all, ground zero.
And it's a great way to position yourself for a future with AI energy. Now, I'll also be on the lookout for more direct opportunities as they arise. But you know, if you want in, you absolutely need to get a copy of my report, AI Energy, the $40 trillion disruptor, bringing star power to Earth.
Right, and that report is free, along with the other reports that reveal 2 additional stocks that people can buy today. Your AI 360 presentation, we talked about that, and of course access to your weekly live stream updates.
That's right. You know, it's free when they accept a risk-free subscription to my Strategic Fortune service.
Well, let's talk about that for just a moment. Honestly, I'd be willing to pay $5,000 a year, even $10,000 a year for this service that you've described here today, but you don't charge anything near that, right?
Well, you're very generous, Chris. But no, I don't. Look, I don't want anything holding people back, which is why I only charge $199 for a 1-year subscription.
Which is a steal. Again, I'd be willing to pay so much more for it than that.
And the good news is, you know, you won't have to. So before we sat down, I authorized a special deal just for our viewers today. So for watching right now, they can get a full access to Strategic Fortunes for an entire year. It's only $49.
$49? Hang on. I honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a price that low. Are you sure about that, Ian? I mean, that's an incredible deal you're making.
Well, Chris, I truly want everyone to get in on this opportunity. When I say that this is an incredible investment, I mean it. AI energy will surge into a $40 trillion industry, and the firm with the AI boosters is really at the forefront of it all. So for decades to come, people will be talking about this moment, and we all have a chance to be part of it, to be a part of history.
Yeah, well, your enthusiasm is genuine and it's justified. It's incredible. This is a very exciting time. We've covered so much today. Let me take time to do a quick recap here. Today, through this special offer, you are getting 3 incredible reports. The $40 trillion disruptor bringing star power to Earth, the big data profit play of a lifetime, and AI hardware and software riches. Now, each of these are valued at $399. Keep that in mind. You're also getting a year's membership to Strategic Fortunes. This is Ian's flagship research service. Annual membership normally costs $199. That's a value together of nearly $1,500. But when you order today, it's yours for just $49. So again, I don't know exactly what to say, but this is just an incredibly generous offer.
I know. I mean, everything is unfolding fast. That's why I don't want anything to stand in the way. And Chris, I know my research will improve lives. I'm confident in that. So I've agreed to give everyone a 100% satisfaction guarantee for the entire year.
Okay, so let's talk about that. 100% satisfaction guarantee for the entire year?
Yeah.
So in other words, they can sign up for the service, try it out for the full year, and if they're not completely happy, completely blown away with the results, they get a full refund.
That's right. I mean, I'm so confident in our research that I want to make this offer a no-brainer for everyone.
Well, mission accomplished. You are being very generous today. I mean, you shared your knowledge, and you're giving away almost $1,500 in value for a massive discount.
That's right. I mean, investing has been very good for me and my family. And, you know, I want others to experience that.
Yeah. Well, mission accomplished there, too. You've already done that for some people, like with your Symbiotic AI trade. That was one of your best recommendations, for example. We've got Paul, who wrote in to tell us this. On February 7th, I purchased 200 shares for a profit of 106% on June 5th. Jeff wrote in to tell us that he made a 125% profit in 3 months' time. Thanks for the great recommendation. And Jason wrote in to say, Thank you for the great guidance you've provided me over the past few years in managing my portfolio. For Symbotic, I sold my holdings, reaping a 114% profit. Purchased February 7th, sold June 6th. Amazing returns, and in such a short period of time, just a few months. Who wouldn't love that, right? Ian, I know our viewers out there can't wait to get started. I know I can't either. I just want to thank you sincerely for joining us today. I personally cannot wait. I can't wait.
All right.
To invest in a firm with 11,000 patents. It's built an insurmountable moat around its intellectual property. It's a terrific opportunity.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Chris. And thank you for watching. I can't possibly tell you how important it is for you to get started today, as in right now.
Good point. Time is of the essence. And I have to imagine that all of you watching right now are just as excited as I am to get started. Ian King, thank you again so much for being here.
Well, the pleasure is mine, Chris.
You just heard from one of the world's top investors, former hedge fund manager who's invested in blockchain, EVs, many other technologies over the last 2 decades before they went mainstream. It's a man who's already recommended top performing positions that have gone as high as 146% on Qualcomm, 301% gain on Generac in about 2 years' time. He even recommended Inspire Medical Systems for a 137% profit and a 735% gain on Tesla. He even recommended to sell half a position on SunPower for a 780% gain there in just 7 months' time. This is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Keep in mind that billionaires are already investing in this. This is your chance to invest right alongside them, or perhaps get left behind. That choice is up to you. But the time to act is right now. You click that orange button below this video and you can get started right now. That will take you to a secure order page where you can then review everything that you're getting today, everything that we've talked about. Thank you again for being a part of this very special event. Glad you were here.